Hey everyone, I'm back with another video. Today I'll be showing off a find I got from the antique store. It is a Spyderco Delica 4. You can see that on the handle there. And this does have the Emerson Wave addition to the blade. It has this kind of a, I would call it a drop point style blade. But you can see this knife was a heavy user. Really gunked up. I didn't clean this at all, but you can see it's been sharpened, it's been used, been carried. Still has an edge on it, but you can feel a burr from where they tried sharpening it the last time. Here you can see the little bug or the spider up there at the top, and then you can see the Spyderco logo or Spyderco name, and then VG10, which is special to their Seki-City Japan knives. Right here you can see Seki-City here. And then you can see the patent for the Emerson Wave right there. And you can see a little bit of spotting, rust spotting there, and a little bit here from where the fingers open. Then you can just see some fingerprints and just overall gunk and build up on this blade. And then the handles are filthy as well on these FRN handles. It's kind of a dark bluish gray. It almost looks blue on camera, but it's more dialed into a dark bluish gray on these handles. Has these bidirectional pattern on the handles as well on both sides. And then you can see this heavily used pocket clip as well. And these are backlocks, and they have a little section here for your thumb just kind of sit down in, and you can close it real easy. So, really cool find. I got this for $50, and brand new. These are at Blade HQ as of right now. It's $106.50. So I'm saving about 100, or not 100. I'm saving about $60 for buying this one. But I want to either change out the scales or send this back to Spyderco and get them kind of to bring it back to factory standards. See if they might be able to polish that blade or just put a new edge on it and kind of regrind that tip. You can see some damage on the tip up there. It's not as pointy as a factory Spyderco normally is. And maybe they could just clean it up completely. These do have skeletonized steel liners. I don't know if y'all can see that, but these do have slight liners. You can see that down in there. And then you can see the backlock at the very bottom. And this kind of plastic back spacer that sits here. I want to open this up and kind of break it down. But from what I've heard, these are pretty difficult to kind of take apart and clean and kind of put back together, which kind of makes me nervous not being able to put it back together. Because Spyderco's warranty is you can take it apart and clean it. That's good. But if you can't put it back together exactly how it should be, your warranty is voided. So if I can't put it back together, I wouldn't have any options for anything. So I'm kind of nervous about it, but I might do the undertaking. I've done a couple of my Benchmades, and those were pretty simple after you get the hang of it. So this might be as well. But a really cool knife altogether. And just very well built. Spyderco always makes a very nice knife. Their design language is very Spyderco, and sometimes I don't really prefer them, but this is a very nice one. It also is about the same size as a bug out. Let me grab one. So here is my full-size bug out. Very similar handle links, almost the same Let's see if how different they are. It looks like the Delica 4's handles are a little bit longer, but the blade length, pivot to pivot, you can see the blade length on the Benchmade is way bigger, and then cutting edge, a lot more substantial as well. So, that's the difference between the Delica 4 and the Bug Out. I'm going to pause this video and kind of see. I'm going to clean up the blade, and I might take apart these handles, at least this side maybe, and kind of show y'all the inner workings of these, which I'm kind of curious to see as well. But I definitely want to clean this blade up and get back to y'all. So I'll be right back with hopefully a somewhat cleaner blade. So I'll see y'all in a second. Okay, so I've cleaned the blade. Let's check out this. I don't know how much y'all are going to be able to tell about it, but I got my knife eraser that I use on my case knives, and I went over it. The scratches are still there, obviously, but it doesn't look as prominent. You can see that that nice satin finish on this blade, and you can't see the scratches until you hold it up to the light. So I think it definitely did make it look better, and some of the rust spots, just the light rusting, it cleared that up too. Shined up the Spyderco and VG10 logos as well as the Seki-City ones too, and the patent logo. So I think the knife eraser definitely helped a lot, and I did get some of my case metal polish. That's all I really have, and it did a good job. So that's what the blade looks like now. I think it looks a lot better than it did. I don't know how well it's coming across on camera, but I think it does look substantially better. I also did just want to kind of do a rundown on the tools for these. The pivot's a T8, and I have that T8. And I did torque it down earlier. It was kind of loose. I'm going to take this T8 out. I'm going to kind of just see if I can take this top panel off and kind of just see. And these do have these kind of rings that sit down on the loops there too. So I definitely don't want to lose these. But that would be included in cleaning it up as well. So you definitely don't want to get that lost. But then you got to take the body screws off. So T6 is what the body screws are. I'm going to take the clip off first. They make plenty of aftermarket parts for these Delicas too. So that was another thing I was thinking about. Getting some G10 or carbon fiber scales. I've seen some titanium ones, but they're a little out of my price range. I've seen those from Flytanium. Flytanium is where I get most of my aftermarket stuff, just because that's who I'm familiar with, and I know they make a good product. This screw doesn't want to come loose. And you can see they put a lot of blue Loctite on these screws as well, which is awesome. This one's, okay, there it goes. So these clips, you can see the little spider there, and these are just 3-hole, kind of looks like a face. And it does have a hole through it, which allows the lanyard hole to go all the way through. But you can see this is kind of gunked up and just kind of filthy overall. And these clips are 4-point accessible. You could do tip down on left or right hand, or tip up left or right hand, which is always really nice to see for completely ambidextrous pocket clips. So it does have a lot of body screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 pivot screw, which I think that's actually the same amount as the bug out. So there is another one. And just the pivot had that little collar on it. These body screws do not. You can see kind of how dirty these are. This knife was definitely a user. His little booth, he has a lot of knives. He's had some Benchmades, he has a lot of case. He has a few Spydercos, a VV, you know, you name it, he has it in his booth he's selling. He's even been selling some Medford knives, which I've never even heard of Medford until I saw his. And then I got into looking into those, and those are $600 knives. You know, they're crazy expensive, if not more. So he definitely has some cool knives in that booth. And if that's what he's selling, I can't even imagine what's in his personal collection. He must have a very impressive one. Some zero tolerance he had, which zero tolerance is pretty much just fancy Kershaws. They're all made by Kai USA. They're in Oregon. So that's all these body screws off of the Delica 4. Okay, so it does just lift off like that. Real oily, real filthy. And there is one of the steel liners. They're inside. So I'm going to clean this scale. And I might try taking this knife apart while I'm looking. I might just take this. So I will have to get it something to pry that off. It's pretty firm on there. And these do have some bronze phosphor washers. I can see, you can kind of see where it lifts up right there under the blade. And the reason these are kind of difficult is that these are little plastic pieces that kind of rest there, and those pieces can break, and the back lock is very interesting as well to kind of put back together, because that's where the screw sits right here. But it's cool to see kind of the insides of a Spyderco. So I'm going to go clean this up real quick, and I'll be right back. And we might try to take the rest of this apart, just kind of to see how it goes. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got one scale cleaned up very nicely. Got all the oil off of it. These are just like plastic. You can see some flecks in it. It's just their fiberglass reinforced Nylar or nylon or whatever they call it. So that's one scale. You can see this skeletonized liner. It does just rest right here on that pivot. And I'm just going to use my micro as flathead and see if I can just lift this off. It does. You just want to pry it off very gently. You don't want to damage nothing or scratch it worse. This was a user, so I'm not really too terribly worried about it, but I do want it to stay in decent condition. Need to pry this up a little more. get my... All right, and I need to work on this side. All right, so I know this is just such fun content to watch. Okay, popped that right off. You can see where the pivot rests, and this is the actual lock bar, and this is the spring that puts the tension on the lock bar itself. It feeds right into this little plastic backspacer. So you definitely need to take care of this part because this is the important part of the knife. So it pushes up on here. Don't try this at home. I don't know how. See, it just kind of pops out like that when you put pressure on it. Was not expecting that. But there is the spring, and there is the lock bar, and here is the blade itself with that little washer right here. So, now that I have that popped off, wasn't expecting it to kind of just fly off like that. I'm going to go wash this, clean this off. I got a hard bristle toothbrush and some dish soap, and it cleans up really nicely. But I can clean each individual component, which is probably what I'll go ahead and do. I will kind of leave this here for a second until I can get my bearings straight, get all these other little components washed up as well. So I'll be back, and we can kind of work through this together. I'll be back. Okay, so I have the this liner cleaned up. It cleaned up really nicely. And then I got the lock bar cleaned as well. It had a bunch of gunk built up here where it presses up against the tang of the blade, or yeah, right there on the tang of the blade. Cleaned that up, and then I did just kind of wash down the little tension bar as well. So now I just need to get this this little screw already came out right here, but I do just need to get the other ones out and clean this. There's the pivot. Put that with the other. I have the washer set aside. Don't want to lose those. The ones in the plastic kind of sit a little firmer. Then you can just slide it down in this skeletonized part and pop that liner off. And pull these little pivot screws out, or these little inserts out. This one's kind of stuck. Gotta kind of wiggle it off, I guess. Come on. Okay, so there's the little paper or plastic backspacer. You can see these little notches there where it sits right here, where my fingernail is, right there in the liner. I can pop this screw back out. This one just doesn't want to come out at all. Okay, there it goes. So then, of course, these parts separate. So let me go clean these up, and I'll clean up everything else, including the blade. I do just need to wipe these down. I'm not going to get water up in there into the screw holes, but I do just want to wipe those down. You can see kind of how that one's ribbed like that. I don't know why. Guess they're all like that, but anyways, I'm gonna go wash all this off and get it cleaned up. You can just see it's kind of just gunked up from probably years, seemingly, of carrying this knife. So I'm gonna go clean this up. I'll be back. Okay, so I had the entire knife taken apart down to its very bones. So you can see the FRN handles here. This dark bluish gray color. Got two scales, two exterior scales. And then you have two skeletonized liners, super light liners. You have the lock bar, you have the tension spring, you have the back spacer, blade of course, pocket clip, and then these are all the body screws, and these are the kind of the barrels that the screws go into. So the front of the knife is this scale, because you can see this is where you would be holding the knife. The blade would be facing this way. So this is the front. These are where these kind of rounded pivots go. And all of these are D-shaped. And the scales are circular. But the liners are the D-shaped holes. So you're going to feed all these through, and you'll just have to line up the flat spots when you get everything in place. So you can see the flat sides on top. You want all the pivots facing upwards where the flat spot is facing up. You got to line all those perfectly together. That's the only one that doesn't want to fit good. All right, so you have all of the liners. They all fit in very well here. Of course, you need, I'm going to put this blade out of the way. This is the pivot for that. It is the pivot screw. Then you want to get a washer, feed that right there. Ideally, you would have some like pivot lube, which I need to get me some KPL, but this kind of is all I have, is just gun oil, and it works for all my other guns, or all my other knives, I should say. And you just want a little dab on each side. You don't want too much, but you don't want too little. You just want a good amount. That's not too overbearing. So then you're going to get the knife blade, feed that onto that side. I will say this pivot is a lot easier to do than a Benchmade pivot, because with theirs, they have the tension on the axis lock. Well, hold on, I cut my nails earlier, and now I don't have anything to grip onto these washers. Oh my goodness. What do I have? Just drag it all over here. Okay, so I got the washer. And you do want to get some oil on this side as well. Big dab, way too much, but that's all right. I'm gonna dry this off, and then I'll just smear it around. Too much, but that's fine. Just feed that washer back on there. And then you have to have this little plastic part to fit into this hole here on the bottom. And it just wants to sit seats down in there. Hopefully pretty flat. That looks flat to me. If you want to keep that blade in control, don't want to cut yourself. And then this part feeds in. Which way does this feed? Let me look where this goes. Make sure I'm putting it in right. Hold on one second. Okay, so where this sits, it sits like this. It feeds into that hole and kind of goes down like that. And then you want to get your other liner and set it properly as well. You want all these screws to sit correctly all the way through. And you want it to sit, you can see where that is flush, that plastic part sits flush there. And the blade is still freely floating, but we're going to take care of that here in a second. Then you get the other FRN handle and squeeze that on there. Make sure it's flush everywhere, including on that back spacer. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put Loctite on these. Normally I do it last on my Benchmades, just to make sure everything's gonna go back together correctly. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the Loctite in, because at this point, all it takes is to get this back spring in, and that's the difficult part. But we're gonna see exactly how to do it. I'm gonna watch. I got a Nick Shabazz video. He's kind of a well-known YouTuber in this space that does breakdowns of stuff, and I know he, watching his video, will get this Spyderco back to where it needs. It doesn't take much. You can just see how much I'm doing. Does not take much at all. Just to keep these screws from backing out later. You can clean up what's left. And what I do, I got the liquid Loctite, so I just put it on a napkin, and I got a big puddle, and I drop the threads on it, and just feed it back through. Well, say that. These are all the same size as far as I know. Be difficult, thank you. These tiny screws about to make me mad. It just won't stay. Normally, they're quite magnetic, but this one's not one to feed very well. Hold on, I'll be back. Okay, so I got that screw in. And then I have one more screw, and that's going to fit with the lock bar. And then I do have the pivot as well, which I need a T8 Torx bit for the pivot. So I'm going to swap to T8. And I need a little bit more Loctite for the pivot. You just want to kind of pretty strong. I need to back that off a little bit. Okay. Make it a little tighter. Okay. So now you can still see this is loose here. And then you have to get the spring back in, which I gotta back this actually out and push this one through. Because that can't be in there while you're doing this. So you can see how there's this spring poking up, and this has to go behind the blade. So how is that going to work? What's going to happen is that you have to push down hard enough where the holes line up. The shadow is not going to be my friend, but you have to push and line these holes up, which seems like it might be impossible. But you can see kind of where that's going to sit there. And I might just have to do this off camera. Because I don't want to... Yeah, so you can see that hole is lined up, but now you have to have this feed through, which is going to be the fun part. And this is going to be the flat side down. I want to make sure it goes through the liner first. Yeah, you can see it fits there. I want to get it lined up. And this is round. So once it's in position, it should be pretty easy to line up. But let me watch more of this video and see exactly how he does it, so I'm not stressing out about this. Hold on one second. Okay, so I finally have the little pivot to insert into the metal part of this little back lock part. I'm trying to get it through the next portion of the liner, and it's kind of being difficult. I don't want it to come back out. So I'm just trying to figure out how to get it to sit in to its right spot. Because I'm looking and I'm trying to just spot what might be going wrong in there. So hold on one second. Let me get this fed all the way through. All right, so I finally got it after many attempts. I finally got it all the way through. You have to press down on this lock bar and press in on this pivot and try to get it perfectly through these two liners, these two scales, and then you have to feed it all the way through these two scales. The first time I got it into the bar, but it was getting stuck on this steel liner. So I don't know what exactly was, messing up, but I finally got it all the way fed through. I'm not going to say how long it took, but it took quite a while, and it was quite annoying trying to get that through. So I'm going to put this final screw back in, and that is going to be the video, because I finally got it in. It took kind of forever. I've been working on this for a long time. You're going to see how long this video is, but there's a lot of downtime with me pausing everything, trying to wash the knife, get all this stuff to go back to normal. So there is the knife. The Delica 4 from Spyderco and VG10, and it has the Emerson Wave holder. So whenever it's down in your pocket like this, I don't have the clip on it yet, but it would fit in your pocket in here. And whenever, well, I guess it would fit like, it's in your pocket like this. Yeah. So you grab it up here, and whenever you pull it out, the blade hooks on your pocket, and it opens up like that, and you can do it in one real fell swoop. Very cool. Very handy to, pull out your knife really quickly if you need it. So that is the Delica 4 from Spyderco. That is a full tutorial, breakdown, whatever you want to call it, on how to take apart this knife and put it back together. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Watch out for some shorts, and check the description for all the little details. Let me go ahead and tell y'all the blade length and stuff as well. So the weight's 2.5 ounces, so pretty light. Handle length's 4 1/4, so just 4 1/4 inches on the handles. And it has a 2.9 inch blade with a 2.56 cutting edge. So this little part right here on the tang kind of takes off a lot of space. And I said it's a drop point earlier, and this part is a flat grind here. This is a flat grind on that blade. VG10, of course. So that is the Delica 4. Thank y'all for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Sorry it was a long one. If y'all even made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching and supporting. I really greatly appreciate it. So I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye.